I still remember the smell of coffee that morning, bitter, strong, and oddly comforting. The cafe was half empty, sunlight spilling across the small wooden tables. I sat by the window, stirring my drink, though it had already gone cold. She walked in exactly 3 minutes late. Amelia was always a little late, like time waited for her. "Hey," I said quietly. "Hi." Her voice didn't carry warmth anymore. "Just politeness. You look different," I said, though what I meant was, "You look distant. New haircut." She smiled faintly. "Do you like it?" "It suits you." There was a pause, the kind that felt heavier than words. I could hear the hum of the espresso machine, the low chatter of strangers, the distant sound of traffic outside, everything but her heartbeat. She looked at me like she was rehearsing something in her head. "Ethan, we need to talk." Gave a small laugh. "You always start serious things with that line." "Should I be scared?" Her eyes dropped to her coffee cup. "Maybe. I don't know how else to say it." I felt my stomach twist. "Just say it." She inhaled deeply. "I can't do this anymore." "Do what?" "This sus. The struggle. The waiting. The small apartment. The bills. The endless work. I'm tired, Ethan." I blinked slowly, trying to make sense of her words. "You're tired of me." She looked up sharply. "Don't make it sound cruel. You know what I mean?" "I don't," I said softly. "Because when we said we'd build something together, I thought that meant through the hard parts too." Her eyes softened for a moment, then hardened again. "You're a good man, but good isn't enough anymore." I felt the words stab me like cold air. "There's someone else, isn't there?" She didn't answer. "Who?" I asked. My voice wasn't angry, just tired. She hesitated, then whispered Nathan Grant. I laughed not because it was funny, but because it sounded impossible. "The guy from the investor dinner? The one with the expensive suits and no soul?" She winced. "He's not like you think." "Of course he's not. He's rich." "Don't do this, Ethan." I leaned back in my chair. "You said you loved me, Amelia. Was that all? A phase? Something you tried before you upgraded?" She looked away, her jaw tight. "I did love you. I still care about you. But I want a future where I don't have to count every pound at the end of the month." "So love has an expiry date now?" "It has a price," she said quietly. For a second, I couldn't breathe. My chest felt tight, my pulse loud in my ears. "And he can pay it, right?" She didn't answer, and that silence told me everything. I whispered, "You know what hurts most? I thought you were different. I thought you wanted me, not what I could give you." Tears welled up in her eyes, but she blinked them away. "I'm sorry." "No, you're not," I said calmly. "You're just done." She reached across the table, her fingers brushing mine. "You'll thank me one day. You'll find someone who don't." I pulled my hand back. "Don't give me your script. Just tell me the truth." She took a deep breath. "I can't love you the way I used to. I need more than this life, Ethan. I need stability, ambition, money," I interrupted. She flinched. "Fine, money, if that's what you want to call it. And call it what it is, trading love for comfort." She sighed. "You'll never understand." I gave a bitter smile. "You're right. I probably never will." There was a long silence. She looked at me, maybe expecting me to shout, beg, or break down. But I just sat there, staring at the last bit of foam in my cup. "You're not even going to fight for me?" she asked finally. I met her eyes. "You already decided, Amelia. What's there left to fight for?" Her lips trembled slightly. "I didn't want it to end like this. Neither did I. But endings don't ask for permission." She stood up slowly. "Goodbye, Ethan." I nodded once. "Goodbye." She hesitated near the door, like she wanted to turn back. Then she didn't. She just walked out, leaving behind the faint scent of her perfume and a silence that felt too big for one room. I stayed there long after she was gone. People came and left. The barista changed shifts. The daylight faded, but I couldn't move. My body was still, but inside, everything was falling apart. After a while, the waitress came by. "You all right, love? You've been sitting here for hours?" "I'm fine," I lied. She smiled gently, clearing the cup. Rough day? Something like that. When she left, I stared out the window at the people passing by, all of them moving, laughing, living, and I wondered how the world could stay so normal when mine had just collapsed. I thought about calling her, about begging, about saying, I can change, I'll work harder, I'll make it all better. But then I remembered how steady her voice was when she said his name, Nathan Grant. Like she'd already practiced saying it in her head. That's when I realized it wasn't a decision she made today. She'd left me weeks ago. This was just the final scene. I stood up, left a few coins on the table, and walked out into the street. The air felt colder than before, though it was the same city I'd always known. Same buildings, same sky, just without her in it. My phone buzzed. A text from my mate Liam. You up for drinks tonight? I typed, no, just tired. He replied instantly. You all right, man? I stared at the message for a full minute before replying, not really, but I will be. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to find something to hold on to. A reason, a memory, a sign that love was still real. But all I could see was her face, calm and sure, choosing someone else over me. People say love ends when someone walks away. That's not true. Love ends the moment respect dies, and mine had died in that cafe, somewhere between her coffee cup and my silence. The next morning, I deleted her number. I didn't block her, didn't curse her name, didn't make a scene. I just removed her from my world. Because some wars aren't fought with anger. They're fought with letting go. And though I didn't know it yet, that silence would become my greatest weapon. It's strange how silence gets louder when someone leaves. The first week after Amelia walked away, I tried to keep busy. Work, gym, coffee, repeat. By the second week, I stopped pretending. The flat felt smaller, emptier, like every wall was holding her echo. I'd come home, drop my keys, and wait for a text that never came. Still nothing? Liam asked one night over the phone. No. Mate, you've got to stop checking. It's killing you. I'm not checking, I lied, glancing at my silent phone on the table. He sighed. She's not worth this, Ethan. Go out, meet someone new. I don't want someone new. Then what do you want? I hesitated. Just quiet. The kind that doesn't hurt. He didn't reply for a few seconds. You'll get there. Just don't drown in the silence. Yeah, but I already was. Every morning, I'd scroll through my phone before work, pretending I wasn't looking for her posts. But they were everywhere. Amelia smiling in designer clothes, standing beside Nathan's car, sipping champagne at some event. I remember whispering to myself, she's happy. You should be too. But my chest always tightened, like the words didn't believe me. At work, people noticed. They stopped joking around me, lowered their voices when they passed. I caught fragments of whispers, breakup hit him hard. Poor guy, she moved on fast. I kept my head down, buried myself in reports and numbers. The noise of typing was easier to handle than the noise in my head. That's when Claire started showing up by my desk. You're drinking too much coffee? She said one afternoon, setting a cup of tea beside me. Try this instead. I barely looked up. Thanks, but I'm fine. You're not, she said simply. I glanced at her soft brown hair tied back, calm eyes, the kind of expression that didn't demand anything. You're observant. I'm human, she replied, smiling faintly. And I sit 2 desks away. Hard not to notice when someone's trying to disappear. I'm not disappearing. Then where are you going? I didn't answer. I just looked at my screen again. She pulled up a chair. You know, when people break, they think silence means peace. But sometimes it's just noise in disguise. You trying to sound wise? Or is this your way of saying I look miserable? Both, she said lightly. You used to talk. Now, you just nod. Maybe I ran out of words. Then borrow some of mine. That made me smile for the first time in weeks. You're strange, Claire. But you laughed, so it worked. We sat quietly for a while. The office hummed around us, keyboards clicking, phones ringing. Life moving on except me after she left. I opened my laptop and saw another photo of Amelia online, this time in Paris, leaning on Nathan's shoulder. The caption read, "When dreams come true." My fingers tightened around the mouse. I closed the tab quickly, but it was too late. That image stayed burned behind my eyelids. Later that night, I was back in my flat, sitting in the dark with a half-empty bottle of beer. The phone buzzed. A message from Claire. "You left your file on my desk? Want me to bring it tomorrow?" I replied, "Yeah, thanks." After a moment, another text came through. "Try to get some sleep, okay?" I stared at the screen. No one had said that to me since Amelia left. I typed, "I'll try," then deleted it and sent you two. When I finally turned off the light, I couldn't help but think about how gentle her tone was, so different from Amelia's cold certainty. That day in the cafe, the next few days blurred. Together, work. Tea. Silence. Repeat. Claire started sitting with me during lunch. "You ever eat real food? Or just coffee and sadness?" She joked. I gave a weak grin. "Coffee's cheaper? You should let people help, you know." "Help with what? Whatever's eating you?" I stared at my sandwich. "What if I don't deserve help?" She frowned. "Who told you that?" I shrugged. "It's just easier to feel nothing." She shook her head. "No one really feels nothing. They just pretend until it hurts less." Her words stuck in my head long after she left. That night I couldn't sleep again. I kept replaying old conversations, the way Amelia laughed, the way she looked at me when she said, "You'll thank me one day." Thank her for what? For breaking me clean enough to start over? At 3 a.m., I walked to the kitchen and stared at the city lights outside. My reflection looked older somehow, same eyes, just heavier. I whispered, "What happened to you, mate?" The city didn't answer. A week later, Claire stopped by my desk again. "Fancy some air?" "I've got deadlines. You've also got dark circles and shaky hands," she said, grabbing my arm. "Come on, 10 minutes." We stepped outside into the afternoon sun. The breeze felt strange on my face, like I hadn't been outside in years. "You work like you're punishing yourself," she said. Maybe I am. For what? For believing in something that wasn't real. She looked at me quietly. "Love was real, Ethan. It just changed shape. People do that. Doesn't make it hurt less." "No, but it means you're not broken, just healing." Her words hit deeper than I expected. I looked away, swallowing hard. "You talk like you've been through it." "I have," she said softly. "Everyone's got a version of you in their past." I stood there for a while, watching cars move down the street. For the first time, the silence between us didn't hurt. When we went back inside, I caught my reflection in the glass door. Tired, yes, but not empty. That night, I made a deal with myself. I wouldn't check her social media again, not once. I deleted the apps, threw my phone on the sofa, let the room stay quiet. But just before midnight, I opened my laptop. One last look, I told myself. Her latest photo was different. No smile this time. Just her at some event, staring away from the camera. Nathan beside her, looking bored. The caption read, "Sometimes dreams cost too much." I stared at it for a long time. Then I closed the screen and whispered, "Good, now you know." For the first time in months, I didn't feel the need to cry or break something. I just felt tired. But beneath that tiredness was something small, a spark. Maybe Claire was right. Maybe silence wasn't the end. Maybe it was the start of something new. I never meant to eavesdrop that day, but pain doesn't ask for permission. I was heading back from the printer when I heard them. Two of my coworkers, Tom and Riley, whispering near the kitchen. "Poor bloke," Tom said. "Got dumped for money? Can't say I blame her, though." Riley snorted. "Yeah, but it's pathetic, isn't it?" Still comes in looking half dead. Probably still stalking her online. I froze behind the wall, mug in hand. Tom chuckled. "That's what happens when you date out of your league." Something snapped. I didn't move, didn't speak, but inside a fire caught. I walked straight back to my desk, set the mug down, and stared at my reflection on the computer screen. That was the moment I decided no one would ever pity me again. That night, I went home, looked in the mirror, and said aloud, "Enough." The man staring back looked broken, dark circles, unshaved jaw, tired eyes. I whispered, "You either stay like this, or you rebuild." So I rebuilt. The next morning, I arrived early. Not just early, before everyone. The cleaner looked surprised to see me. "You all right, love?" she asked. "Better than yesterday," I replied. Work became my battlefield. Every report, every meeting, every small task I did with precision. When others left for the pub, I stayed behind. When they complained, I volunteered. One evening, Daniel, my boss, stopped by my desk. "You planning to move in here?" I gave a small grin. "Thinking about it?" He raised a brow. "You're here before me, you leave after me. What's going on, Ethan? I just don't want to be ordinary anymore." He leaned against the desk. "Ambition's good. Burnout's not. Balance it." "I'm fine," I said quickly. He studied me for a moment. "All right. But if you're serious about growth, I've got a few books you should read." He wrote down 3 titles on a sticky note and placed it in front of me. "Start here, and come see me Monday." So that weekend, I read all 3. Notes filled my phone, pages folded, highlighter marks everywhere. The words hit me like truth bombs. Discipline over emotion, silence over drama, progress over pity. Monday came. Daniel called me into his office. "So, thoughts?" I said. "I've been living like a victim." "Good. You can't win until you admit that." "I don't want revenge," I said. "I just want control again." "That's the right goal," he replied. "Revenge is noisy. Growth is silent." Those words became my rule. Weeks turned into months. I started taking online business courses after work. My evenings were no longer about scrolling through Amelia's pictures. They were about building something of my own. Claire noticed the change first. "You're different lately," she said one morning as we waited for the lift. "How so?" "You actually smile now. Still quietly, but it's there." I shrugged. "Guess I'm busy surviving, revolving," she said with a grin. At lunch, I'd sit with Daniel, discussing markets, leadership, and mistakes. He never sugarcoated anything. "You know what your problem was?" he asked once. "I've got a list," I joked. He smiled. "You took things too personally. The world doesn't owe you fairness. It just gives you choices. So pain's a choice." I asked. "No, but staying in it is." Those words burned deeper than he knew. I started a small project after hours. A digital tool that simplified budgeting for startups. It wasn't much, but it gave me purpose. Some nights I'd code till 2 a.m., my flat filled with the blue glow of the screen and the sound of keys clicking like a heartbeat. One night Claire messaged, "Still awake?" "Always," I replied. She sent a smiley face. "Don't burn out." "I'm already ashes," I wrote back. She replied, "Then start the fire again. But make it yours this time." That line stuck with me. By month 4, Daniel called me into his office again. "You've been outperforming everyone." "What changed?" "I stopped trying to prove her wrong," I said quietly. "Now I'm proving myself right." He leaned back impressed. "That's the right kind of selfish." I grinned. "You taught me that." He pointed at me. "No. Pain taught you. I just handed you the matches." We both laughed. But deep down, I knew he was right. As my project grew, so did my confidence. I pitched it to a few small investors Daniel introduced me to. Some said no. One said, maybe. And that maybe was enough to keep me going at night. When exhaustion hit, I'd whisper to myself, "Don't stop now." I'd think about that day in the cafe, her calm voice saying, "You'll thank me one day, and maybe in some twisted way." She was right, because the man who once begged for love was gone. In his place was someone who didn't need validation. One Friday evening, Daniel invited me to join him for dinner. "You've earned it," he said. "Over steak and wine?" he asked. "Still think about her?" "Sometimes," I admitted. "But less with pain, more with clarity." He nodded. "Good. Clarity means you're winning." I laughed. "You really see life like a game, don't you?" "It is," he said. You either learn the rules or get played. Guess I was the latter. Not anymore. I looked at him for a moment. Thanks, Daniel, for not treating me like a sob story. He smiled faintly. That's because you stopped acting like one. After dinner, I walked home under the city lights. The air was crisp, the streets alive. For the first time in a long while, I didn't feel like a ghost in my own life. When I reached my flat, I opened my laptop and stared at my project dashboard. Small numbers, small progress, but mine. I whispered, "This is just the start." The phone buzzed. A message from Claire. "You're working again, aren't you?" I smiled. Caught me. She sent a laughing emoji. "At least promise you'll sleep." Eventually I typed. Her reply came quick. "Good, because some of us are rooting for you, you know?" I stared at that message for a long time. Rooting for me. The words felt foreign, almost too kind. I turned off the laptop, sat back, and closed my eyes. For months, I'd been building in silence, fighting ghosts no one could see. But that night, I realized something. My silence wasn't empty anymore. It was full of purpose. The fire that had once burned me was now the one pushing me forward. And for the first time since she left, I didn't feel broken. I felt alive. 2 years. That's how long it took for silence to become strength, for pain to turn into purpose. When I stepped onto the stage that morning, the lights hit me hard, bright and blinding. Hundreds of faces looked up, waiting to hear how a man once broken built something worth noticing. Success, I began. Gripping the mic isn't born from luck or talent. It's built from what you survive. The audience went quiet. Cameras clicked, pens moved. My voice didn't shake. Not anymore. As I scanned the crowd, a familiar face caught my eye. My heart stalled. Amelia, she sat in the second row, beige blazer hugging her shoulders, eyes locked on me like she was seeing a ghost. The same nervous smile she once used when she'd lie about being fine. For a split second, my old self surfaced, the one who begged for her love, but he died years ago. I finished the talk strong, shaking hands, smiling for photos, answering questions about funding and vision. But my mind was burning. When the crowd thinned, she approached. I smelled the same perfume, the one that used to linger on my pillow. "Ethan," she said softly. I turned. "Amelia." Her voice trembled. "You've changed." I smiled faintly. "You haven't." She looked down. "I deserved that. I didn't mean it as an insult." "Then what did you mean?" "That you still look like someone trying to convince herself she made the right choice." She flinched, then forced a laugh. "You always did know how to read me." "Occupational hazard," I said. "Entrepreneurs learn to study people." "Entrepreneurs," she repeated. "So this is your company?" "One of them." Her lips parted slightly. "Wow, you really did it." I nodded. "You too, I hear. You and Nathan made quite the power couple online." The smile vanished. "We're not together anymore." I folded my arms. "Didn't see that coming." She looked away, voice quieter. "He wasn't who I thought he was. People rarely are." She sighed. "I didn't come here to talk about him then. Why did you?" Her eyes lifted to mine. "Because when I saw you up there, I realized I walked away from the only man who ever looked at me like I was enough." The room buzzed faintly behind us, chatter. Footsteps, the clink of coffee cups, but to me, it felt like silence pressing in. I said nothing. She stepped closer. "You don't have to forgive me. I just needed you to know I regret it." "Regret doesn't change what happened," I said quietly. "I know. But maybe it means something, does it?" Her lips trembled. "It does to me." For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then she asked, "How did you do it? How did you move on?" I smiled. "By realizing pain doesn't go away, it just becomes fuel." "Fuel for what?" "For becoming someone I can respect." She swallowed hard. "I always knew you'd be great someday." "Funny," I said. "You didn't act like it." "I was scared, Ethan. I wanted security. Nathan offered that, and I didn't." "You offered dreams," she said. and I didn't know how to believe in dreams anymore. I nodded slowly. Then I guess we both learned something? She took a step back, her voice almost a whisper. You really don't feel anything anymore, do you? I feel plenty, I said. Just not what I used to. Her eyes glistened. You hate me? No. Hate's a form of attachment. I let go of that too. She bit her lip, then looked around the hall. Do you remember our first cafe? How could I forget? You said one day you'd build something big enough that people would remember your name. You said you'd be there cheering me on. Her eyes dropped. I meant it then, I said. But you left before I started. I thought I was chasing happiness. And did you find it? She blinked back tears. No, I exhaled, staring past her at the banner on the wall. Innovators Summit 2027. The words glowed behind her like irony made real. She whispered, would it be stupid if I asked for coffee? Just to talk? Depends, I said. Talk about what? About us. About everything. There's no us, Amelia. There's you, learning regret. And me, learning peace. She flinched again. You sound like a different person. I am. You helped build him, just not in the way you think. She let out a shaky laugh. Guess I'm good at that, inspiring success through heartbreak? And thank you, I said, her brows knitted. For what? For leaving. Because if you hadn't, I'd still be that man waiting for your approval. The silence between us thickened. She looked at me like she was searching for the version of me she left behind. But he wasn't there anymore. Finally, she said, I used to imagine this moment. You succeeding, me showing up, us finding our way back. Ow. And how did that fantasy end? I asked, with you forgiving me? I smiled faintly. Then I'm sorry to ruin it. Her eyes shimmered. I guess you really are over me. I nodded. No bitterness. Just distance, she whispered. You sound happy. I am, she nodded, blinking fast. Then I'm glad, really. I studied her for a second, the way her fingers twisted her purse strap, the tremor in her voice, the quiet pride mixed with shame. You'll find your way too, I said softly. She looked up. What if I already did, but it's too late? Then maybe that's your lesson, I said. Mine was learning not to wait. Her breath hitched. You've become cruel. No, I said. Just honest. A few people called my name from across the hall. Investors, journalists, colleagues. She turned toward the sound, her composure slipping. I should go, she murmured. Yeah, I said. You should. She hesitated, then reached into her bag, pulling out a small, crumpled photo of us at that same cafe years ago. I kept this, she whispered, even when I pretended I didn't care. I looked at it, then back at her. You can keep pretending, I said gently. You're good at it. Tears welled in her eyes, but she nodded. Goodbye, Ethan. Goodbye, Amelia. She walked away, heels echoing on the marble floor. Each step sounded softer, like regret fading down a long corridor. I turned toward the people waiting for me, adjusting my jacket. Claire waved from across the room, smiling. Proud, I walked. Toward her, toward the noise, the flash of cameras. The world I'd built from ashes, behind me. The ghost of Amelia's perfume drifted and disappeared. And in that fading scent, I realized the tables hadn't just turned. They'd flipped completely. It started with a text. Can we talk? Then another. I miss you. And another. I made a mistake. Each message came at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., sometimes at dawn. I never replied. I just watched the screen light up, her name flashing like a ghost, trying to haunt me back into the past. I didn't block her. I didn't respond. Silence became my language, and it spoke louder than anger ever could. Weeks passed before I heard the rumors. Nathan's company was collapsing. Bad investments, a scandal, and betrayal by his own investor, Oliver. Poetic, really? The man she left me for had been stabbed in the back by someone richer. Claire mentioned it one morning at the office. You've heard about Nathan Grant, right? She asked, scrolling through her phone. I pretended not to care. No. What about him? His empire's falling apart. Investors pulling out, lawsuits piling up. And Amelia? She hesitated. She's been seen crying outside the courthouse. I kept my voice steady. People cry when they lose money. Claire frowned. You don't sound surprised? I'm not, I said. Karma's just on schedule. She smiled faintly. You're colder than I remember. No, I said. Just quieter. She studied me for a second. You still think about her, don't you? Sometimes, I admitted, but only as a lesson. That evening, my phone buzzed again. Please, Ethan, just one chance to explain. I turned the phone face down and went back to work. Silence, my new form of revenge. A few weeks later, I walked into the same cafe where everything had ended years ago. The same smell of roasted beans, the same brown leather seats, the same corner table. It was raining outside, faint drizzle against the glass. The world had changed, I hadn't. I ordered black coffee, no sugar. While waiting, I noticed a woman sitting 2 tables away, hands trembling as she stirred a drink she wasn't drinking. Her eyes lifted slowly, red swollen. Amelia, she froze when she saw me. Ethan, her voice cracked. I nodded once, calm. Amelia. She stood quickly, almost knocking her cup over. I didn't think you'd come here again. I like the coffee. She gave a bitter laugh. Still the same sarcasm, still the same seat, I said, sitting down. She hesitated, then asked, Can I sit? I gestured at the chair across from me. It's a free world. She sat slowly, clutching her cup like it was the only thing holding her together. Her hands shook. I've been trying to reach you for weeks, I noticed. You didn't reply. I didn't need to. She exhaled, eyes glistening. You must hate me. No, I said. I don't waste emotions like that anymore. She flinched. You sound so detached. I learned from the best. Her lips trembled. I know I deserve that. But Ethan, please, just let me explain. I sipped my coffee, silent. She filled the space between us with her guilt. Nathan wasn't who I thought he was. He cheated. He lied. I raised a hand. You don't need to tell me. You chose him. You live with that. A tear spilled over her cheeks. I lost everything. My job, my savings, even my flat. I thought money would make me safe, but it made me small. I looked at her. The same woman who once told me my dreams were too small. Life has a sense of irony. I deserve this, she whispered. Every bit of it. I said, but it's not my job to punish you. Her voice cracked. Then why does your silence hurt more than anything he did? I didn't answer. She leaned forward. Do you remember that night I left? The cafe, the ring, the promise I broke. I remember everything. Kept thinking about it, she said. How you just sat there. You didn't yell, didn't beg. You just watched me go. It's because I already knew, I said. You left long before you said it. She looked down. You were right about respect. Love doesn't die when someone leaves. It dies when they stop respecting you. I met her eyes. And you buried mine. She nodded, crying quietly. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I finally understand. I don't need your understanding. Then what do you need? Peace, I said. And I already have it. Silence stretched between us, heavy but clean. She wiped her tears, laughing weakly. You really did change. I had to. I wish I could start over, she whispered. You can, I said, standing up. Just not with me. Her voice broke. You're really walking away again? No, I said. This time, you're the one being left behind. She covered her face, sobbing quietly. For a moment, the past flickered. The nights we laughed, the mornings we dreamed. But it didn't hurt anymore. I placed a 10-pound note on the table and nodded at the barista. Her coffee's on me. Ethan, I turned before she could finish. Behind me, I heard her whisper through her tears. I'm sorry. I didn't look back. I didn't say a word. Outside, the drizzle had stopped. The sky was clearing, soft gold light breaking through. I walked to my car, my reflection in the glass door fading behind me, calm, whole untouchable. My phone buzzed again in my pocket. Another message. I still love you. I deleted it without opening Silence. Once my prison had become my freedom, I sat in the car for a moment, watching raindrops slide down the windshield, thinking about how life has its own balance, quiet, invisible, perfect. Once, I used to chase closure. Now, I simply walked away from it. As I drove off, I saw her through the cafe window, still sitting there, eyes on the door, waiting for words that would never come. And for the first time, I realized true revenge isn't destruction, it's indifference. Because silence is the one thing they can't escape. When I packed my last box, the city skyline outside my window looked different, quieter, softer. For years, those lights mocked me. Now they just blinked like old friends saying goodbye. Claire helped me carry a few things to the car. "You sure you're ready to start over?" she asked, setting a box on the back seat. "I'm not starting over," I said, closing the trunk. "I'm just continuing somewhere else." She smiled faintly. "You sound peaceful." "That's new." "I guess I am," I said. "Took long enough?" We drove for hours. No music. Just the hum of the tires and the faint whistle of wind. I thought of how silence used to suffocate me. Now it felt like air at my new apartment. Claire walked in and looked around. "It's empty," she said, scanning the plain walls. "Perfect," I replied. "Empty means possibility." She laughed softly. "You sound like one of those motivational speakers." "Don't worry," I said. "I charge extra for life advice." She rolled her eyes. "I'm not paying you in coffee again?" "And I'll take peace," I said. For a moment, she looked at me differently, curiously, almost like she wanted to ask about her, about Amelia. But she didn't. And I didn't offer. Later at work, things moved fast. Claire and I built the team from scratch. She was efficient, grounded, funny in her dry way. One evening, she leaned over my desk. "You still check her social media, don't you?" I froze for a second before answering. "Not anymore." "Good," she said. "Because peace doesn't come from scrolling." "I learned that the hard way," I said quietly. Claire folded her arms. "She still messages you?" "Not since the last one," I said. "Just a hope you're doing well text I never replied to." She teased. "It works," I said with a small smile. "Sometimes the loudest answers are the ones we never speak." She nodded slowly. "You really mean that, don't you?" "I do." The next few weeks passed easily. Work filled the spaces that once held heartbreak. Mornings started with calm instead of chaos. Evenings ended with gratitude, not regret. One Friday, we were reviewing quarterly reports. Claire said, "You're different, Ethan." "Different how?" I asked. "You don't flinch when her name comes up. You don't tense up when someone mentions your past." "Maybe that's because it's not my present anymore," I said. She smiled. "That's poetic." "Pain usually is," I said quietly. That night, after she left, I sat by the window, watching rain slide down the glass. My phone buzzed, once an unknown number. I didn't open it. Didn't need to. I already knew peace isn't about getting answers. It's about not needing them. A week later, during a company lunch, Claire said something that stuck with me. "You know, people think revenge is payback, but sometimes it's peace." I looked at her, thoughtful. "Peace doesn't destroy. It rebuilds." "Exactly," she said. "And you rebuilt well." Her words sat with me long after she left. Later that evening, I took a walk along the river. The water shimmered under the fading sunset, calm and endless. I thought of Amelia, her laughter, her lies, her tears in that cafe. I didn't hate her. I didn't love her either. I just understood her. She taught me something no mentor ever could, that love without loyalty is emptiness, dressed in beauty. I whispered into the wind, "I forgive you." No reply came. Just the soft rhythm of waves brushing against stone. When I returned home, Claire had left a note on my desk. "Peace looks good on you." I smiled. She was right. Peace did look good because it wasn't about her anymore. It was about me. I made coffee, sat on the balcony, and watched the city lights fade into night. Somewhere out there, Amelia was probably learning the same lesson I once did. Silence doesn't hurt, it teaches. I didn't destroy her life. Her choices did. All I did was stay silent. And sometimes silence speaks louder than revenge ever could.